Good morning, Mr. Dodi. We are from the group Q7, which consists of Andhika, Dzaky, Alam, Sultan, and I, Andreas. We are going to present our progress on Module 5 of Sales and Operation Planning. The first, we will discuss about the forecasting demand.
Okay, so for the forecasting demand, we did the forecast for 10 year, and then we divide the forecast in each every year, then divide it again to in each every month of the year. And then in this forecast, we also assume that the demand is increasing in holiday and feast day times, such as Idul Fitri and New Year, and the demand decreased during religious and cultural reasonings, such as Idul Adha and Chinese New Year.
Then moving on to the next slide. The next slide is hiring costs, subcontract costs, and layoff costs. For the first is hiring costs and subcontract costs. Hiring costs and subcontract costs is consist of internal and external costs. The internal cost for hiring costs consists of recruiter salary, cost of conducting interview, investment in its hire, and for the external cost is advertising cost. And then we find the cost per hire is 469,000, and the assumption is HR manager wage per month is 8,500,000. Our spend in recruiting process is 8 hours, and the investment in each hire is 20% times worker salary times number of hire, and the minimum wage in Batang is 2,061,000, and the number of hire is 17, which consists of machine operator and material handling operator. And then for the subcontract cost, the internal cost is consists of recruiter salary and cost of conducting interview, and for the external cost is agency fee. And we found the cost per hire is 1,671,000. The assumption is more or less the same, unless in our spend in recruiting process is 6 hours and agency fee is 0.8 times worker salary times number of hire.
For the layoff cost is done with the formula of severance pay plus year of service plus treatment and housing. We did the layoff cost based on the table of the regulations of severance pay, which are all part of the Undang-Undang Ketenagakerjaan number 156 Article 2. For the formula of the layoff cost, it is based on with the calculation on shown on the slide here. So for the severance pay, it is rupiah 4,123,400. The year of service is 2,061,700 rupiah. For the treatment and housing is 927,000, which all include in the layoff cost total of 7,112,865 rupiah. The calculation was done with the assumption of Batang UMR in 2020, which is 2,061,700 rupiah monthly.
So, and moving on to the holding costs. So, in order to calculate the inventory carrying costs or holding costs, we include the four main components of the cost. The first one and the most significant one is the cost of capital. So we include here if we are going to invest the inventory other than going to be inventory itself, it's going to convert in a depositor rates of 7%. And then the other one is the warehouse operating costs, which is basically consists of such as employee and also the electricity of the warehouse. And then the third is taxes and insurance. The insurance is the insurance for the unit or the item of the product itself is we got the premium rate of 0.25% from our resources. And then the fourth one and the last is the shrinkage or depreciation for our material handling equipment. And then for all of that cost, we will sum it and we'll divide it by the total unit, and we got the number of 22.14% for the inventory carrying cost per unit.
Next, we are going to discuss about the unit cost. Unit cost, here we calculate it for the input of the sales and operation S&OP strategy. The unit cost consists of three main components, which are direct cost, indirect cost, and overhead cost. For each of the component, it also has sub-components, such as for the direct cost, there are direct labor, direct material, and machine. For indirect cost, there are material handling cost, and overhead cost, there are maintenance cost, and also electricity cost. These component of costs will be detailed calculated in the attachments. And here we displayed the unit cost for each of the period for the 18 period. But however, in this slide, we only display until of the 12 period, and the rest of the period from the 13 until 18 can be seen in the attachment. From here, we calculate the unit cost for each month, and we calculate also the average of the unit cost, uh, which falls in the value of 239, approximately 239,000 rupiah, and this is going to be used as an input for the S&OP strategy.
So this is how we calculate the minimum days of supply. So basically we base the calculation based on the qualitative and the quantitative reasons. From the quantitative reasons, we calculate the reorder point, which is basically the safety stock plus demand times lead time. And then we got the amount of the reorder point of 6,556, and then it is equal to the 8 days of supply. So in this result, we also conclude that we consider that 8 days of supply as the optimal day for our factory to overcome problem appeared on our production operations if it is occurs.
Okay, so we're moving on to the sales and operation planning using chase strategy. Here we can see that the remain items of the inventory remains the same, around 8 days of supply, which may vary from 5,000 to 6,000 items. And also the amount of the inventory cost is quite stable, which we can see in the next slide. The total of the cost using this strategy is around 6.2 billion rupiah.
Next, we are going to discuss about the level strategy of the S&OP. So in the level strategy, the number of employees are kept the same, which is in this case, we only hire 6 employees. We got this number from dividing the total production required with the working days times the productivity. The productivity we obtain from calculating the minimum amount of capacity of the machine from our production system, and we divide it by the number of working hours in a day, which is 8 hours. And then we got the productivity of 158 units per day, and this calculation will be displayed in detail in the attachments. So here we got the employee of 6, and uh, we also display the chart of the levels of the chain, also the cumulative, to prove that all of the forecasted demand can be fulfilled with this strategy. For the total cost itself, it falls in the value of approximately 20.9 billion rupiah.
So moving on to the last strategy, which is mixed strategy. So basically, mixed strategy is occur based on our basic understanding about the trade-off between hiring and layoff, and also the cost of inventory. So from that trade-offs, we want to optimize, and we want to build the model that optimize all the costs and got the total minimum cost. So maybe you can go into the next slide. So in mixed strategy, we develop the linear programming, which have the objective function to minimize total cost, which have the decision variable of the total employees in hiring and layoff of employees. And then after that, from that following constraint, we got the total amount of minimum cost. And then from the result, we can see that the mix strategy has resulted the total cost for about 4,169,000,000 rupiahs, which is the lowest one compared to the chase and the lifeless strategy. So we can conclude that we will use the mixed strategy in order to and to our future production plan.
That is all from our presentation from the group Q7 due to the 10 slides limitation. However, after these slides, there are several attachments that will be used and also related to the Module 5 of Sales and Operation Planning. The first is about the correlation of Module 5 with other modules. So this module got the input from the Module 2 and also Module 4 about the product development and also manufacturing process, production system, and facility planning. In here, we got the information of product characteristics and consumer, and also we got information of bill of material, BOM 3, make or buy decision, and also forecast from the module 2. And we also have the information, the input information of production weight and capacity that will be used in calculating the productivity in this module. And in this module, we also we process the data by use of regular and overtime capacity. For making the periodical inventory and also the amount of product produced in overtime and regular on every month. And after that, the output from this module will be used in modules 9 and 6 about the financial analysis and cost analysis, and also the module 6 of logistics and distribution system design. And then in here, we also have the attachment of make or buy decision reasoning. Here we display, we elaborate the reasons of the make or buy decisions that we made. And also in here, we elaborate more about the detail about the cost involved in the unit cost, which consists of direct costs, indirect costs, and also overhead costs. And then this is the continuation of the unit cost period 13 until 18 that we were not able to display in the previous slide. And lastly, this is the productivity calculation, which is from here we come up with the productivity of 158 units per day. And that is all the presentation from our group Q7 of CHUKHUR Hair Clipper. Thank you, Mr. Dadi, for your attention. Good morning.